Hello. Hello, everybody. Are you buying at the dip? um, I don't mean to crack jokes about a time that is very turbulent, let's say, but at some point it's kind of all you can do, right? Sorry for my tardiness. I had a little there's something about Mary moment. I went to spray the front of my hair with hairspray and I grabbed they're like two identical bottles and one of them is mousse. So I had I was expecting a fine mist and suddenly I had all over my face. Somebody please clip that. It was a really attractive sound effect. Anyway, so then I had to like redry the front of my hair. It was really great. Big Hair Tsunami, first of all, thank you so much for all of those subscriptions over on Pilled. You guys, if you are in there, grab a subscription from Big Hair Tsunami. He also says, I have to scroll. Oh, he put the CBD and more link. He said, my brother received his bottle Friday. He had constant dull pain, keeping him up at night from a surgery. He used the CBD and more Saturday and Sunday and called to say it works fairly well for his condition. Wish this was available when I took care of my mom. Nothing worse than feeling helpless watching over loved ones. You are such a gem of a human being, Big Hair Tsunami. Thank you so much for that. And I'm really glad that it's giving your brother some relief. I've been absolutely blown away by the responses and the emails that I've received and the messages and people, all kinds of things, right? All kinds of um, wonderful benefits. Oh, let me put the thing up. I'll put the banner up while we're talking about it. Might as well. For inflammation, to get rid of inflammation and chronic pain, and help you sleep better at night, help you if you've got anxiety, depression. Don't we all right now? This world is crazy, and yes, the chemicals in our brain contribute to that, but sometimes the world is just melancholy. There is a certain malaise that falls upon us, right? Unto every life a little rain must fall, and we're all getting just absolutely oh, I have a buzz. Is my sound okay? Hi, everybody, by the way. Um, Let me just make sure that my sound is okay, because there's nothing worse, I think, than bad sound. Like, I think that the camera doesn't even have to be good as long. Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry. Maybe you were talking about the stupid noise I made. Uh, so anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well through this crazy time. I know that it can be very scary. One of the things keeping me going is that am I can now look back on the however many years that I've been paying attention. And, I didn't pay attention for a very long time. But then as soon as I started paying attention, I started paying very close attention. And it was like it was from the second I woke up in the morning, I was checking to see what was going on in the world. And I was talking with people about what was going on in the world. Hey, Neo. Hey, Texas girl. Water wizard. Hi, guys. Um, so I was just completely inundated with information and I was super interested in what was going on. And in paying attention to all of that, it was exciting, but then there were also a lot of times, several times I will say that it was like I felt like it was all over. This is it. We're done. Nothing will ever get better. There's no reason that it has to be this way. It's just crummy. Life sucks. The world is crumbling. We're never going to get our country back. We're never going to get our fellow man back. We're going to be divided forever. I mean, obviously, we are still divided. But in going through those times, it helped me to realize, let's just say I've had several panics and then everything does turn out to be okay. And one of the things that I kind of would use to gauge it eventually was to consider, if I wasn't paying attention, if I wasn't going on social media, if I wasn't turning on my TV, if I wasn't, talking to a certain group of people that's, dialed in, meaning like you guys, this community being on social media with you guys, being on these shows and these chats with you guys, would I even know that this is going on in the world? Obviously, inflation is going to affect everybody, and the economy is going to affect everybody. Those aren't things that we can just like hide from. But at the same time, things tend to kind of shake out or level out. Things are almost never what they seem like in that first 24 hours of news breaking. And I know we have a lot of financial experts. I spent the day listening to um, Twitter spaces of all the people that know about Bitcoin and finance and stocks and all of that stuff. And of course, most of it is over my head. I don't know. But you know, I try. And, there's really only so much that I even how much do I even need to want to understand it? Because it's out of my hands anyway. Like, am I gonna be the person to come in and save the day? Is anyone? So, I just wanna kinda loosely understand what's going on, but I'm listening to both the people that are panicking and also the people that are like, it's just fine, and knowing that it's probably somewhere in the middle of that, right? I know I was seeing right before I was going live or before I, sprayed my face, that news was coming out because now it's morning in Japan and that they were up 7%. And so it's like, I don't know. I don't know. What is that? Is that an actual indication of it, of something? Is this a dead cat bounce? I have no idea. We are seasoned like good chicken. I don't like chicken. Can I be seasoned like, I don't know, eggnog? Brainstorm says, I'm still trying to predict the future because the present sucks so much. Hey, that's a great point because we all just get us out of here, right? Get us out of here. So I totally get that. I mean, part of it is that we are constantly trying to decode what's going on so that we can give ourselves something to look forward to or feel like it's going to get better. So I absolutely, and we're supposed to be living in the moment, right? Um, that's what we're supposed to be focusing on. But right now, the moment is not too great, is it? I mean, there are always things to be grateful for. It could be a lot worse. We are not being rounded up in gulags as of yet. We are not. I'm hoping that most of us are eating. I'm hoping that most of us have a roof over our heads, even if we're staying with friends or family or, you know. So we are getting through, right? There have been worse periods of history to live through, if you can imagine that. But, those worst periods were a lot less comfortable. Like while we're suffering, we're pretty dang comfortable, I would say. Mother of Cat says, so happy to be here. You help me stay sane. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for allowing me to keep you sane. Alara! Hi, friend. Oh my god, and that is just the perfect, absolute perfect GIF. That is you. It literally is you. Oh my god, that just brightened my night so much. Patricia and Leyland. Yeah, they don't really know what's going on either, do they, Kara? Kara says, nobody can predict the markets other than the money changers who manipulate it. Uh-huh. Right? But I mean, that's kind of the point, right? So if we want our world to change and if we want things to get better, there are certain systems that gotta go. And it would be a whole lot nicer if there was a smooth transition, like Indiana Jones and the bag of sand and the head or whatever that thing was, and just kind of gently replacing it. That would be really nice. But it doesn't ever seem to be like that. And so if you can look at the silver lining as this being possibly the end of something that really has to go. It's very uncomfortable for us right now. Think of it as getting a wart removed. We are all collectively getting a giant wart removed. No, that's really gross and it's not a very good analogy. I mean, something that's making us sick, let's say. Um, and having to go through surgery to get that thing out. And it's not fun. And there's a healing process. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. Is that what this is? I hope so. I mean, for those of us who believe on some level that we're watching a movie, which there is a part of me that believes that, even though I don't really know how to explain what it is I believe. It's just that some things are just too um they're too. And there have been things, in the Q operation that seemed like they were predicting the future or whatever. And but they said that the reason that they were able to do that was that they were controlling things. I have no idea. I don't know. But how many people do you think right now that were maybe gonna vote for Kamala? Um, did you guys see, by the way, that Trump called her Kambala or something like that? And Kamabla or something like that, something weird. And what I like to do is I like to look up words and their meanings, like when things get misspelled. And so I put in Mambla, I think, and the very first thing that came up was Nambla. So I thought that was interesting. I don't think that was what he was signaling. And then Kamabla or whatever it was meant like um, dirty, wet marsh or like something just dirty and wet. Anyway, I digress. Um, but yeah, so like definitely is probably scoring some points for Trump right now. I think anybody, no matter how desperately they want to be able to have abortions into their, fourth trimester. Um, yes, I know there are 3 trimesters. It was a joke about them wanting to kill living babies. Like, what was that guy from was it North Carolina? We're going to keep the babies comfortable. The people are absolutely sick. But God, I can't even believe what we're up against in this world. Anyway, those people, unless they're, living out of their cousin's house, have got to be like waiting for an adult to be back in the room. And we have no adults in the room right now. We had Biden and Kamala in the Situation Room tonight. Pictures were coming out of that. God, that was a terrifying sight to see. It really kind of painted the picture. What was the conversation going on in there, and how many times did she cackle? Isn't that what I said? Dead cat bounce? Or did you say it? Sorry, I'm back in the chat. Sassy Angel says, Kate, when are you going to do another Clean Living show? It's coming. It is coming. I have a lot of pent up cleanliness that needs to come out. And I have some interesting topics that I think you guys are going to like a lot. And why not? So we're going to go with that. But I've got other stuff coming in the works first. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I got 4 hours of sleep last night. I don't even know how I don't even know how I'm functioning, to be honest. Brainstorm. I suspect the forces of evolution are bound by logical constraints. So in theory, cultural evolution should bring us to the point of equilibrium. Makes sense. Mindy, the majority of our suffering is mental and spiritual. That's why I do these, whatever they are, hangouts. Because it's true. We are, I mean, there are things in the world that suck, in many different ways, but the crux of it is the mental and the spiritual, the emotional toll that it's taking on us. And so as much as I want to understand everything, I know you guys do too. I also think it's really important that we just have this community of people where we can feel okay together. We can be ourselves together. We can talk about it being hard and be honest about that, and not try to be like polished podcasters and you know I'm definitely not trying to talk out of school when it comes to anything, which would basically be everything, because I don't really know anything. But I do care. And so that's why we do these. And I hope that it can always be kind of safe haven for all of us that we can come back to these. And I mean, I struggle with even showing up some of the times. It's just like, I don't know, it sometimes don't I don't even know what I'm gonna say. I like look at the world, I'm like, I don't know what to say about that. um so I struggle with showing up, but I'm always glad that I did. Always, always. I have never ever um done a show and then been like, I shouldn't have done that. Jolene says you are very grounding, Kate. Thank you. Oh, well, that's a good one too, Alara. Chlamydia. Oh my goodness. West Virginia. Thank you. You're right. It was West Virginia. That's sicko. Leyland says she's talking to Mindy, but she says, I'm with you on that. I feel the heaviness, but I'm not taking it on. Yeah, that's the way to be, Leyland. If you can do that. I mean, I can do that sometimes. I'm having a harder time right now. But that's why, you know, that's why we have each other, because um when one person is feeling heavier, then the other people can help. And, when I'm not feeling as heavy, I try to help. Such bitch. Hey, DJ. We are being unburdened by what has been. It's an important point. We are in a group therapy session here. So everyone state your name. But I mean, seriously, okay, you don't have to. Thank you for the phone, Alara. Is it a brick phone? Is it a flip phone? Do I have to put it in the microwave while we talk? Thank you so much for that. Okay, I have a thing. We don't have a ton of people watching. We only have a few people in the chat, but if you guys have been, I'm watching both chats right now. If you guys have been through something traumatic, something traumatizing, and you feel comfortable, put a 1. I'm just interested in like how many people have been traumatized. I'm like put like 72 ones right now. Oops, that's going in that wrong box. Polly also gifted a phone. Thank you so much. Now we can call each other. Oh yeah, here they come. Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, whoever doesn't say 1 is lying. Oh, Keystone, thank you for the phone. I'm gonna be like, hello. Yes, buy, sell it the dip. Is that when you're supposed to sell? No, that's not when you're supposed to sell. That's when you're supposed to buy. See? Hope you didn't come here for financial advice. Now I have to scroll all the way up because I've got a bunch of 1s. Ba ba ba. Hey, KB Patriot Mama. PJ says, I would like to make a suggestion to anyone who might be open to it. I watched Tucker's interview with John Rich, and it was very deep, but I came away with a new outlook. I would recommend it. Awesome. Thank you for that. I mean, that is the sad state of affairs of our world. Everybody's traumatized. Everybody's walking around traumatized. And we don't really probably even know the extent of how much it affects us, because we are, sometimes we feel like we're okay, and it still might be causing us to behave a certain way, treat other people a certain way, coping mechanisms that we don't even realize that we have. Yes. Now, I have had several traumas in my life. Like everything, like whatever traumatizes a person is I guess, unique, and what traumatizes one might not traumatize another. For example, I went through an earthquake when I was 14. Wasn't even a catastrophic earthquake. It was pretty gnarly, but and it was very scary, and it did damage, but not to where I was. I got thrown out of my bed, but, I didn't even realize that. I just kind of thought that everybody was afraid of earthquakes and thought about it all the time, every day, and always slept knowing where their person's shoes and keys were. And then, eventually got diagnosed with PTSD years later. Um, but that was just one thing. And sometimes we can be traumatized as children. And again, looking at things through adult eyes, we might not see something as traumatizing, but that doesn't mean that it's not traumatizing to a kid. Yep, it's called The Great Awakening, Rambo. Oh, hi, Rambo. My goodness. Thank you for being here. He said, we all have. It's called The Great Awakening. If this isn't trauma, I don't know what is. It's a good point, because not that we should be like comparing our awakenings to one another, but I have noticed that everyone kind of considers themselves awake now, right? But there are a lot of people that are waking up to the corruption, but not necessarily have gone through the dark night of the soul aspect of the awakening. Like, they haven't really been stripped down to nothing and then having to like make sense of the world again. I mean, the world is scary for everybody, and it's messed up for everybody. And learning about all of the things in our world is traumatizing on a certain level. But I mean, like, on that personal level, a lot of people that I talk to, most people that I talk to and am surrounded by at this point, have been through many dark nights of the soul, many different times that they've had just like everything taken away, or everything threatened to be taken away, and really having to do that soul searching. And whether it's finding God for the first time, or maybe for, again, or in a different way, or uh, making a determination to change yourself and the way that you are, and heal yourself, truly being honest with with yourself for the first time about what all of your traumas have done to you, and how you need to be. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, but it's a really ugly and painful process, but it's also really beautiful and necessary. And it's it happens to different people at different times, but um and maybe there are some people that it won't necessarily happen to. I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's universal. I mean, it kind of seems like there are some people that might not that might not go through that. Who knows? Hey, real AF patriots. Lots of friends here. It really makes me it really just I don't even know what the word is for it, but I'm grateful. That's it. Gratitude for people showing up to hang out. Kara says, regarding your tweet today about toilet paper, I have PTSD from going to convenience stores and trying to find TP in 2020. So there will be extra in my basement forever now. I know I've talked about this before, but that kind of occurred to me. It was the first time for many people that they ever saw their grocery stores bare of certain things. And of course, there are people in other countries that, maybe have seen that a bunch of times. But it was traumatizing, and it did something to people psychologically, I think, that there were just certain things that we just thought would never happen to us here in the United States. And then to see some of these things happen was really jolting. I know it was for me. And, I think here I go again thinking about psyops and everything being a psyop, but like, it was such an interesting item to be missing, because it's simultaneously a necessity while also not being a life threatening one, if that makes sense. Like, if people would have gone to the store and there was no bottled water. I mean, at some point, a lot of things were gone from a lot of places. My store at some point was pretty slim pickings. But, um, I don't know, well, let's say baby food, right? Like, what if baby food would have been the thing that was missing, or, you know, food in general, or certain medications, or whatever. But it was something that everybody needs and uses, and it was gone. And at the same time, so it had that psychological impact on us, but it also wasn't life threatening. Um, so I don't really know what to make of that, but it had the impact, right? DL Maga, great chat, great show, the very best host. Stay frosty, friends. It's going to get worse. What a time to be alive. God bless you, Kate. Thank you so much. Liberty is mine says, I try to keep the balance, self care, inner and outer, so I don't go cray cray. Yeah, very important. Leyland says, transfiguration, a complete change of form or appearance to a more beautiful or spiritual state. Yeah, I mean, that's growth, right? Um, that's soul growth specifically. But you have to change, and change is never easy. Change is always painful. But um, so it's been a very, I mean, that's kind of what you would expect from the Great Awakening. Of course, we probably didn't anticipate that. Our hopes and our dreams would have been like us ascending, and our bodies starting to glow, and we can levitate, and we can suddenly read each other's beautiful thoughts. And it's like, it's the absolute opposite of that. It is so ugly and scary and awful and raw and lonely and all of that. But I can say for myself, like, I am a lot stronger than I used to be. And I cringe because I know I still have a long ways to go. And so I'm like, what else? What else? I mean, like, luckily it seems that we get some reprieve in between. Sometimes, not always. This last however many months, what's it been? 14 fucking years? 3 months, I guess. It's just been nonstop. Like, it's been absolutely nonstop. I keep waiting for just like to catch my breath, and then, like, bam, something else happens. Like, health scares in my family, stuff going on with my friends. One of my friends lost her husband last night. Like, I mean, like, this is, it just won't seem to end right now. And so now I'm kind of like, anytime I can take a breath, I'm like, nobody touch anything. Just stay right here. Stay where we are. And so, if you guys see me exhausted, if I start to cry, it's, you know, uh, just know that I'm trying, and that there's a lot going on behind the scenes that you guys have absolutely no idea. I know you guys have a concept of some of it, but there's a lot that you just have no idea about. And, but that's the truth with every person that we come into contact with. We have no idea what each other are going through. I mean, we might know some of it. Um, but even when you're close with somebody and they're sharing things with you, um that doesn't necessarily mean that they're sharing everything with you. And it's important for us to be a little bit patient with each other, just in that sense, because even people that we look at and we're like, oh wow, their life looks so good and so peachy, uh it, you never know. I just had, oh, thunder. I just had, I don't know. I had one of those experiences kind of recently. Knew a friend was going through something, but didn't really know what it was. And then, finally found out what it was, and it was worse than I thought. So, um, important lessons. Hey, true patriot warrior. I'm sorry if I'm missing people. My eyes just kind of go where they go. Hey, Barry. Um, Old truth teller. My parents were married 7 times each. Oh my gosh, relationships trigger my PTS. No kidding, it mostly sucks. Yeah, I mean, wow, that is quite extreme. That is quite an extreme um example that you were given with relationships. And It's good that you can recognize that. What did people do in like the 80s, for example? I mean, um, I know parenting was very different. Parents just did what they did and nobody really like, I don't know. I mean, now I feel like we've swung in the opposite direction where parents feel, well, some parents feel guilty for everything that they do and everything. Like, oh my God, my kid is bored. What can I do about that? No parents in the 80s cared if their children was bored. Children was? I don't know, guys. I don't know where my English went. Let's just pretend. Baby formula, that actually did happen under Biden. Yes, Carrie, you're right. That did. But again, these baby formulas, when that happened, I remember thinking to myself, it's all the crappy baby formula. And I gave my son baby formula. I also nursed him, but I was a disaster, and my milk was not coming in very well, and I had to work really, really, really hard to maintain enough to keep him fed, and at some point I just couldn't do it. And so I was supplementing, I was doing both, and I was able to continue nursing him until he was 11 months. But I did a ton of research into the formula, and I was horrified that what was in uh baby formula, a lot of baby formula. And so I found one that I thought was the best, but it still wasn't great. There was still stuff in there that I never would have wanted to give my child. But anyway, what I was saying was, it occurred to me like, I mean, when those things happen, it tends to get eyes on um, the products that we've always relied on in a new way, right? Uh, Real AF Patriot says, Kate, did you see what Jamie Raskin said about January 6, 2025? No, I did not. I did not. He's the one with the do-rag, right? Or am I thinking of somebody else? I gotta look him up. Sorry, I'm dumb, you guys. I know nothing. I know not of this world. Yeah, that's that guy. No, I don't. Now I gotta wait. Blue Storm said an old and on M3 posted a video. Yeah, I know methods. Posted a video about battle fatigue. It was from a biblical viewpoint. I felt it in my heart, even though we aren't fighting physical battles. Mentally, we are in the trenches. Absolutely. And we have to be able to recognize that. And we also have to be able to recognize that really everybody is doing that also. But some of these things, people have different coping mechanisms. So when you see these people that are just completely tuned into their social media, that could be a coping mechanism, and it probably is. Hey, Rumble Rick. So many retrogrades lately. Right? And I also feel like, I mean, maybe again, it's just one of those things, I'm not paying attention. But like every time we have a super moon, I swear people are like, it's the biggest super moon that has happened in 170,000 years. And then I'm like, but didn't we have one of those on Wednesday? And now we're having another one. So I don't know if that's an indication of just how gnarly things are, or if that's just an indication of how much I don't know about super moons. But I feel like every moon that we get, like every 3 months, is some type of super moon that is like unprecedented. So Kara says, I think a lot of people are feeling that we're in a spiritual battle. I think the forces of darkness are doing as much damage as they can, put on the full armor. So, me and my weird experiences, and, we don't have to go into that because I've told those stories a million times. But one thing that I will say, and I don't know if this is just my imagination or not, I don't know, and it doesn't hurt if it was. But I can tell you that when I was going through that and I felt like I was actually having, I was being affected by, what do you want to call it? Things that aren't, uh, you know, what do you want to call it? I don't know, weird stuff. I don't know what it was, different beings or energies or whatever. I swore I could feel it leeching off of my negative energy, like feeding off of it, literally. My sadness, my depression, my anxiety, my fear. those were the big ones, but it was almost like I could physically feel this weight and like this suction almost of my energy being drained. So I don't know if that's real or not, if that was imagined. I tend to think my opinion is that it's real. But whatever the explanation is for it, I do think that we have to be more cognizant of our energies and what is happening with our energy, where we're putting our thoughts, and what what we're allowing ourselves to be influenced by, checking in with our feelings, and then making the determination to pull ourselves out of those darker, lower vibrational feelings. Um, as best we can, because then otherwise you get, for whatever reason, in a cycle where it just gets harder and harder to pull yourself out of it. Pilled is just a party of gifts. I love it. Yeah, I feel like many people's families have taken a lot of hits. I just thought it was me for a little bit. I'm like, everything happens to me. But then I looked around and I was like, okay, it's everybody. Brainstorm, it kind of makes me mad that women, Karens, are always so much about rainbows and unicorns and how the men have to fight off the invaders. We saw this coming. Yeah, in different ways. I mean, I agree with you, but I do think that you- we uh, we all kind of share a little bit of the load here. And I'm not one of the women that is typically, I feel like I have kind of a dude brain. And honestly, maybe Patricia and Leyland can tell this to you more. And part of it is probably that I'm down in the dumps, but even when I'm not, I still am not ever very like, oh, like it's wonderful, whatever. I'm really never like that. I kind of have two speeds. It's either like, pretty even keel or just depressed. I don't really I'm not very I'm not like a super optimistic person. I'm not like a very uplifting bright side person. I'm not I mean that's what I kind of take from what you're saying there. Um Champion says, Kate, what's it like being a hypnotherapist? I used to see one. I love it. I think it's incredible. I think it's like magic. It works for so many different things, but I find it fascinating um, for like the fun things, the past life regressions and things like that. I think that is so cool. And so that's why I kinda got into it in the first place, and I could do past life regressions all day. If I could have a practice of hypnotherapy that I just did past life regressions, I would love that. But right now, logistically, it doesn't make sense for me to do it. I don't like doing it remotely. I don't like I wanna be in the room with my client, but I cannot afford to have I can't afford an office right now, and for safety reasons, I don't want people coming to my house where my kid is, and I also don't want to go to other people's houses for safety reasons also. So I don't do it right now, but I love it. And if you're thinking about going to see a hypnotherapist, I absolutely recommend it, but find a good one. I know that's very helpful. KB Patriot Mama, I used to feel that way, Keystone, until I got together with an old high school friend, married 14 years now. That was probably something that sometimes I just eavesdrop on other people's conversations. Mindy, we are neglected. They were very selfish generation. My parents have both been married 5 times. Oh my gosh. I didn't know that, Mindy. Um, sorry, I'm behind in the chat. Yeah, I did know that he had cancer. I just wasn't sure if that was who you were talking about. Oh, okay, thank you. I will check it out. Mercury goes Liberty is Mine says Mercury goes retrograde three times a year on average. It just went retrograde, usually lasts about 3 weeks. Well, I mean, that's a good majority of our year right there. That seems like a raw deal. Keystone, time is speeding up or slowing down. It's like time doesn't exist anymore in a normal way. I feel that, man, it's not normal. Brainstorm, the simple fact of the matter is that we need secure borders and election integrity, else we don't have a nation to speak of. That's absolutely true. And now I kind of understand a little bit better what you're saying. You're saying that you're talking about the difference between being nice and being kind. Niceness is really what a lot of the wokeism is based on. It's kind of this, sucrose based, like shallow level, look at me, virtue signaling, look how wonderful I am, look how wonderful I'm being to you, look at all the things, but it's not giving real consideration to much. And actually, you end up doing more damage by being nice, whereas kind can sometimes be mean or seem harsh, but kindness is real and kindness is healthier for people. And that's kind of what you're saying. Like you can do incredible amounts of damage with good intentions because you think you're helping people, but that's why a heart without a brain is a very dangerous thing. And we have to be logical and operate with morality and ethics. Leyland says, can you share your thoughts on groupthink and the psychological or survival reasons why people flock together? Well, we are beings that learned that for safety reasons, and there are a lot of those mechanisms that we still have that are in us left over from times when we had to fend for ourselves a lot more and cling to each other. So it's almost in a way the world of animality, and but we also are very social beings, and that is still a necessity. Some of the things like the fight or flight for certain things that we don't, these are not risks or these aren't dangers really so much anymore to human beings, but we will always be social beings as far as I'm concerned. And the need to belong to a community and you know, feel like you are protected and not an outcast. And so a lot of us have been um of us have been ostracized, but it obviously can go to a dangerous level when we aren't careful and we go into that group think. We go into those um we go into the place where we want to belong more than we are actually being reasonable about what it is that we believe, because really you're not going to align with people on everything. And so it is important to also be able to be an individual. Kara says, totally believe that's real. I remember you telling the story. Didn't you say you used the name of Jesus and it worked? Yes, I did use the name of Jesus and it worked, but that was like I tried several things and several things ended up working for me. And I think that it kind of just came down to, well, I don't know what it came down to. So it doesn't really even matter. C. Hollins, a lot of evil in the world right now. Satan feeds off it. You might be more aware of yourself than most, probably. Sorry, guys, I'm way behind in the chat now. Hello, Evander. Women are better at playing hostess of the dinner parties, but trust men to think about military questions. Yes and no. Yeah, normally I do. Men and women have different brains. We have different strengths. We have different weaknesses. We're supposed to balance each other, etc. Unfortunately, we have a bad imbalance of male and female energies, and there are very few really manly men, and there are really few very feminine women that are playing those roles properly. And so right now, you could I would love to just turn to the men and be like, okay, guys, off with it. Go take care of this. And I'll make the sourdough and I'll wash the dishes and take care of the younglings, right? I would love that. There is nothing I would love more. But some of the men, not talking about y'all, but some of the men, a lot of the men, majority of the men right now are just not, they are not stepping into that masculine as they should. They just don't even know. They don't even know how. Nancy, you go around saying everything is great all the time, but then people think you're complaining. Melindy, Kate, y'all's discussion about past life hypnotherapy made me wonder if it could bring relief from someone adopted at birth that has no idea who their bio parents are. Um, Maybe. I mean, we had a discussion. I mean, that was in our discussion last night. Patricia and Layla and I had kind of a continuation of that discussion today, talking about kind of the difference between. I am not a fan of age regression. I don't like going back into people's current lives. I like to do past life regressions, but there are people that do that. And maybe not like to go back and digging into like maybe their origin, but it could definitely be useful to anybody that's going through, um, you know, that needs some relief from something. It can give them some kind of peace of mind, some I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? You get what I'm saying. Melindy. Oh, you just yep, I got that. Thank you. Sorry guys, I'm skipping over a lot because now my thing's jumping around. Hey, Team Smooth. Brainstorm. Part of being on a team is you can trust your teammates to have your six, so you can focus on what you are good at. Exactly. And I do think that men and women were created to be teammates, and it is the way that it should be. And when it is done properly, it's probably the most beautiful thing on the planet, other than procreating babies. That sounded bad. Not the process of making it, although that is lovely as well. But I just mean like having a child, um, raising a child, loving a child. But it's all kind of, it's all the way that it should be together. And um, if you have an imbalance anywhere, it's a very delicate thing. Like it's like a spinning plate or something. I don't know. And then you like why is it every time I try to think of an analogy for something, it's something disgusting? Like I was just about to say, like you flick a booger on it. I am so uncouth. But yeah, I mean, like even outside of personal relationships, in society in general, if men were playing their roles correctly, women could play their roles correctly, and vice versa, by the way. Women are screwing it up just as much as men are. So there's no blame to be placed on, any one side. But it's important that we're I mean, like that was something that was totally outside of my perception growing up. I never really thought about gender roles. I never really thought about the dynamic of a family until I got a little bit older and, started learning about. Well, really, it was when I was learning about conservative, like being a conservative, and kind of the how society is built on families, and then even at a smaller level, the individual, and how each has to be strong in order to have a strong society, rather than trying to implement things from the top. And I think that's a really interesting discussion too, because something else that keeps kind of coming up to me, like a message that I keep kind of coming across or thinking about, or it's in what I'm reading, or whatever, is that n- nothing is as nothing is as strong from the outside as it is from the inside. So what do I mean by that? I mean, like, instead of creating a law to impose on people and being like, okay, nobody do this thing anymore. That's never going to be as strong as creating the belief in people, or the morality or whatever, that this is not something that we want to do. The same way that if you work at a job and the pressure is coming from the outside for you to do your job well, you're going to do a completely different job probably than if the desire to do a great job is coming from within you. So I think that's one of the things that I kind of have been thinking about a lot lately, is trying to find inner motivation for the things. Oh God, Archie, I don't even know what he has stuck to his face right now. Ouch. Hold on. And both my feet are, and by the way, I don't think I broke a bone in that foot, but the top of that foot is still messed up. One sec. Come on, Chooch. I took the thing off his face because I didn't want him to be so unsightly. Oh, but say hi. Smack, smack. Smack, smack. Oh, you stink a little. You stink a little. You look like you stink a little. Sorry. Oof, okay. Oh, Kara, I will get to that. Promise. Hey, Rose. Well, men aren't stopping young men from treating young women like conquest notches on belts, and that creates some upset women. Absolutely. But then also women are kind of not behaving so great either. Young women are not behaving so great. They're not honoring themselves. They're not respecting themselves. They're not respecting men. I mean, it kind of goes both ways now. Like I fret. I look at some of the children in, my son's life and all the kids that I'm around, and I think about, they're such good kids. Like, I don't know any bad kids. I know some really awesome kids, but I think to myself, like, these kids are all going to be, in 10 years time in the dating pool. And, what's going to be out there for them in the world, in the big bad world. It scares me. And then, if you're raising wonderful children who know how to behave and know how to treat someone with dignity, and because there is a give to relationships, there is a give to being in love. But if you're not finding somebody that is equally giving, then you are, then it's really unhealthy. And you have just all of these people being raised to be takers. And women have become incredible takers. And like, I watch these, woman on the street, I guess, interviews, and they're like, he's got to make $300,000 a year and be like 6'9" and da 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 da. And they've got their laundry list of things that their demands, their list of demands. And I wonder if they ever think to themselves what it is that they bring to the table, what it is that somebody is. I mean, obviously they probably think, well, I'm hot and like I'm good at doing my makeup and like I've got really good boobs right now and like whatever. But I worry they're not being taught that, okay, all of that fades. And what is it? I mean, and even when it doesn't, even before it fades, it's never that captivating for very long. I mean, yeah, it's interesting in the beginning. Men are like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I even find myself being like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Like, I like to look too, right? It's enticing. But I mean, I know, really beautiful women who can't keep boyfriends because the guys are like, okay, well, that was the conquest and I got that. So now what else can I get? Because actually, now that I got to know you, there's no substance there. There's nothing that I respect. There's nothing that I want to hang out with. There's nothing I want to talk to you about. Like, you got to be able to respect who you're with. If you guys don't respect each other, if you're not interested in each other, if you don't challenge each other a little bit, what's left? Like, oh, you're a hot face and, what? And that's a lot of what's missing. The women seem to be willing to breed with just about anyone these days. So what are we supposed to protect them from themselves? Good point. Be better to go back to soul planning part and figure out the virtues being learned. Rose. Men know they're penis driven, young men, predators among them, and yet are not protecting women from them. I mean, yes, women have to learn how to protect themselves too, you know, unfortunately. We do need to get back to specific gender roles. I agree. There's a reason. There is a reason that it's supposed to be the way that it's supposed to be. Men can't wait to be leaders and then complain that they're being prevented. If God made them to be leaders, then what's blocking them? Hmm. A plan that started decades ago to demolish the nuclear family. Exactly. I mean, I believe it's Marxism. It was a brilliant plan all along. I don't think it's an accident. I don't think it was just the nature of, what we turned into as human beings. That's an element to it as well, of course, but feminism convinced women they don't need men, and the implication is that men never needed women, but both genders need each other. Need the other. Exactly. It's true. Um, they do need each other, and they need each other equally. 316-219. Funny thing is how someone acts will definitely change the way they look. That is very true. That is very true. I do feel like their insides are starting to manifest on their outsides a little bit more. And I know some beautiful people as far as physically beautiful that are, let's just say, like, their their insides are starting to show on their outside, even though, like, the outside is still, like, right, it's still intact, it's still symmetrical and whatever. But I also know some people who might not be the person that you think is conventionally good looking, but they're so beautiful on the outside that, like, you just stare at them and you're like, this person glows. I know a couple people like that I just look at them and I'm like, I know people that are in their 80s and I look at them and I'm like, you are you're stunning. You glow. Like, I just want to look at you. And there's something about their skin, and there's something about the clarity of their eyes, and there's something about um just their energy. But it's not just like a feeling, it really is a physical beauty. It's really interesting. Absent fathers are a big problem in societies. Agreed. I mean, absent mothers too, because mothers are, they got to go to work and not be with the kids. Roger, stereotyping leads to many misconceptions. Washington Trial says Good Lion Films just did an expose on P. Diddy and the hip hop genre was infiltrated in the 80s to drive severe lyrics, MK Ultra to drive youth crime and prison population increase. Well, I remember that was like it was something that showed up on a message board in, like, I don't even know, could have even been late 90s, early 2000s. Probably early 2000s. Yeah, that's probably more like it. Uh, but it was a guy who said that he was at this meeting in the Hollywood Hills at a dinner party, and that it was basically the owners of the prisons and, like, the music producers were trying to figure out how we can they own they owned these private prisons or something like that, but they were trying to figure out like how they could fill their private prisons because you get paid more if they're full. And so anyway, that was his story at least. But I'm like, that makes sense because it never made any sense to me why all of a sudden we had, soccer moms listening to gangster rap and it was so mainstream. I'm like, I can't relate to this. How can you relate to this? Like I like hip hop. I like the sound of hip hop. I like the skill of somebody that can um rap, I guess, but gangster rap and where you're like just talking about degeneracy and the whole culture of the music videos and all of that. I didn't really, and I was like, I don't relate to this. Kate, we have to teach people to look at the soul, not the meat suit. Exactly. Your meat suit is rotting anyway. Your meat suit is not going to be good for much longer. So you gotta harvest something from within, right? There's got to be something else to you that isn't just physical good looks. Otherwise, good luck. C. Collins, oh my God, yes, my son is the best, sweetest. I tell him all the time, you better not put up with someone that doesn't fulfill the needs of the relationship. It has to be based on friendship, hopefully. Yeah, that's a good point. Friendship is, having a solid friendship is a great foundation. Because that's respect, right? Rose, love is the most powerful force on earth, and God is love. 1 John 4:8 KJV. Team Smooth, media film sexualizing both the perfect, physically important, a problem, long time. Karis says, quote, if you're ugly on the inside, you're ugly on the outside, said Whitney Houston. Well, Whitney Houston must have been lovely on the inside because she was perfect looking. Waiting to exhale. I never saw that. Yes, the eyes are the mirror of the soul. I've looked in people's eyes before and just felt like I've felt a shiver up my spine before. But I've also looked in somebody's eyes before and just been like it's just warmth, like so it's more of a feeling than what I'm seeing, but obviously it's something that I'm seeing. Father Time catches up with us all. Ain't that the truth? But I mean, even before that, I don't care if it was the most attractive person. And when I have a hard time relating to this because I don't um I don't even know how to word this. There's nobody that's like that's like my physical ideal, if that makes any sense. Like I'm not a I'm not a visual person, I guess. It doesn't matter so much what somebody looks like. To me, everything is about, well, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I think I know what I'm drawn to. Really, there isn't a whole lot of rhyme or reason. And what I think is a personality. But we're also drawn to not just what we're attracted to as far as like personality and looks and all that. I think what I'm realizing is with myself is that there's also an element of there's like a coping mechanism, right? There's like something, it's almost like we subconsciously attract people whose wounds match ours, or if you're a glutton for punishment, you will find people who will treat you terribly or whatever. Kate, were you living in LA when Heidi Fleiss happened? Why do you want to know that, Mindy? Why are you asking? Yeah, I was. I think I was in high school. No, wait. I think I was in Arizona and I think I was in high school. That was like right around the time of OJ Simpson, wasn't it? It was like right around that time, because I know I lived in Arizona for the O.J. Simpson thing. Yeah, I mean, feminism was a psyop. But, like, because everything is. But, you know, like, I'm all for women's rights, but it was about turning it was about blurring the line between men and women and being like, "Oh, well, they're just the same. They're just the same, and a woman can do anything that a man can do, and a man can" whatever. So, but completely kind of, uh, negating the differences of what is honestly a beautiful thing. But you couldn't say that. You couldn't emphasize that. You had to just completely pretend that there was no difference between a man and a woman. Friendship is the cake. Sex is only one form of sharing in an intimate relationship. Keystone says, "True, Kate. Sometimes you can see the universe in someone's eyes." Keystone is a romantic, man. I don't think I'm a romantic. Oh, Brainstorm said, "My ex-wife said the same thing, that marriage should be based on friendship, but to me, friendship was about going to war together." Okay, next question. Did you have any ugly boyfriends? Well, I mean, of course, I didn't think they were ugly. Um, I think there's a chance that you might look back on s some people that I dated and think to yourself, "Huh," without talking to them, without getting to know that. That's an interesting choice. Because there's not like how some people have a type, you're like, "Oh god," so and so's dating like a clone of the last one. I don't feel that way. I have dated, um, different different types, and, uh, so I don't know. So to answer your question, yes, I date ugly people. Just kidding. Drawn to intelligence and open-mindedness. I was mostly, I think, early on until I was just broken down in life. Um, Ideally, originally, I was drawn to a sense of humor. I think in my essence, that is what is most attractive to me, is somebody that can make me laugh. Most of the guys that I dated, even my ex-husband, really funny, could make me laugh. And so, um, not everybody, but I guess I don't know. And a kind person. Really, most relationships, all like really all but one relationship in my life, it was ended well, and I didn't have um there wasn't a bad volatile breakup. Like any one of my ex-boyfriends, I really am kind of cringing right now because I'm making it sound like there's a fleet. And there really isn't, but like I could call probably any one of my ex-boyfriends right now and be like, "Hey, I need you to do something for me, or I need your help." And they would be like, "Okay, yeah, sure, what?" If I ran into any of them on the street, it would be like, "Oh my god, hey, it's so good to see you." I don't have any bad blood kind of relationships out there. Even my marriage ended very amicably, and we are we are friends, we get along great. We were on the same page. We literally high-fived each other in mediation. We didn't fight over a single thing. We were both, first of all, I think the important thing, again, we respected each other, even though, I mean, I guess this is me being very open right now, and I wasn't really expecting to talk about this, but maybe it is a good thing to talk about because I've never really talked about this before. But we had a different kind of relationship. We had a platonic relationship for many years, but we still respected each other. We still got along. He traveled for a living, and so neither one of us wanted to voluntarily give up our time with our son. Our son was young at the time, and it was kind of like, okay, well, we can just kind of do the co-parenting thing. And we were living in the same house, and um it just kind of it worked for us. And I know that doesn't work for everybody, and it might sound a little bit odd. I do want to say that it wasn't an open relationship. There's a difference. We did not, I mean, our marriage was uh like I said, a co-parenting one, but also because I had given up my career, I had given up my job to well, first support him in his. I actually worked for him and I helped him, build up what he built up, but then also to have and raise our son. And that was he was very understanding of that and was not going to the agreement was that he was going to still financially take care of me and my son until high school or beyond, whatever. There was no rush to get out of it or until we decided to move on and be in other relationships. And, we could have stayed doing that for a long time. Like I said, it worked for us, but mostly it worked for our son. And that was what was most important to us. And then when we did end up going through the divorce. It was a mutual, decision. We both wanted it, but we also were just so single-mindedly focused on what was best for our kid. And I'm so grateful for that. I mean, out of all of the things in my life that I can complain about, this is one of the biggest blessings that I have. And it isn't just luck, because it also is a testament to, I think, the two of us and the fact that we did not, I mean, because if one person gets nasty, then it kind of forces the other person to get nasty too. Because I know, I mean, most people I know that have been through divorces it's gotten nasty to some degree. And I'm not saying that that's every party's fault. Like if he would have gotten nasty with me, I would have fought back, because that's my kid. But we ended up making, you know, I didn't fight him for anything. I didn't fight him for uh, money, which part of that was that I thought I was taken care of. So, you know, anyway, and then he gave me full custody of our kid, and it was not because he doesn't want to be in our son's life. It's actually the opposite. He's a great dad. He wants to be in our son's life every day. In fact, they are in each other's lives every day. He's sitting in my living room right now. When he finally moved out, he got a place down the street so that he could be here in a moment's notice at any moment, like at any time. There was one time, sitting on the couch with my son and we're watching a movie together, and all of a sudden he just kind of looked at me and he looked really sad, and I was like, what's wrong? And he's like, I miss dad. I'm like, oh, let's go. And I drove him over there. And so it really, as far as divorces go, could not be a more perfect setup situation. I feel really blessed. But I did get full custody of my son because he's like, it's been me with this. I have raised this kid, and he also knew that I was never going to play tug of war with my child over him. I don't care if like he pissed me off. I don't want to make it sound like, everything's been sunshine and daisies. There were definitely times that we wanted to wring each other's necks, of course. But again, like it comes down to that respect. And yes, the marriage did not end up lasting, but the respect did, and the what we came together for, which was to create this child and to raise this child, is what remains. And so there is no tug of war over this kid. He is with whatever parent he wants to be with. There's no weirdness, there's no animosity, there's no like, well, I had him from 5:30 to 7:30, so you take him from this time to this time, but then I need him back. There is none of that. So yeah, I know that people have wondered about that. I never really talked about it too much, partially out of respect for him, partially because it was a weird situation and not very easy to explain without people being judgmental. And yeah. Team Smooth, when I first met my hubby, I thought he was a bit goofy and strong and loyal. Found we complement or shared different skills and level each other's weaknesses. Rose says, marriages are sort of like corporations where both are happiest working toward the mutual goal of success for each, which means success for them. Definitely agree with that. Meat suit will never not make me laugh. I know, I am very lucky. I am very lucky in that. I mean, I wish I still wish for things. This is not my ideal setup. One of the things, one of the other reasons that I wanted to, that made it, you know, I don't know. I wanted my son to see a relationship that was affectionate. I wanted him to have that. We were talking before about the examples that our parents gave us. I did not have an example of a very affectionate um, marriage partnership when I was growing up. And then, I want my kid to see people um, who laugh together and have fun together and respect each other and cuddle each other and hug each other and, pat each other on the butt sometimes. That was what I want. That's what I want him to have. So that's what I wanted him to see. So I was like, well, I don't have that here. And maybe I will have that. I don't have that now, but maybe someday. And either way, as long as like he'll never hear us talking badly about each other. We'll never complain about each other to him. Like we have nothing to fight about, but if we did, we would never do it in front of him. Um, and so that's the best that I can give him right now. And, the safety and security of knowing that he's not being, pushed back and forth um, and fought over and, all of that. Thanks, Becky Luho. Yeah. So it's a compliment and I feel weird reading that out loud, but it's a point that I want to talk about. She said, Becky Lou, who says, Dad giving full custody to Kate says a lot about her character. It shows that she is fair and trustworthy. I already knew that, but there's some serious proof. Thank you. And that, he knew me. And like I said, it wasn't, there were times he hated me, right? There were times that we hated each other. We were angry at each other or whatever. But we have been together we had been together for gosh, we were married for 10 years and we were together for 6 years before that, maybe a little bit more. So we were together for about 17 years. So so he knew me and he knew that, as bitchy as I can be, I would never do that. I would never do that. And so it was a testament to both of us, right? Because he would never do, he would never, well, maybe not never. No, he would never do anything. He would never do anything like that. He would you know, he would leave some dishes or something. I don't know. Just to spite me. We cannot expect the marriage to stand if it's the only thing giving you emotional satisfaction. We need a diverse set of friends. Yeah, that's true too. I mean, I find that's true also, that it is important to have to not have your romantic relationship be the only person that you can confide in, because it just shouldn't be that way. You should have friends as well. I agree with that. CMS 2008. My ex-wife cheated and left. I dated and moved a beautiful woman in with me. My ex was remarried, but she lost her mind. I moved her best friend in with me. Well, I hope that worked out for you, and I hope you are living happily ever after. But I'm sorry that she cheated on you and left. People make some crazy mistakes. People do not treat each other well. Aw, we will see the day you have a cow. I freaking hope so. Yes, Kate, important for parents together or apart to be respectful in front of the children. I agree. Okay, well, speaking of my child, guys, I have to go make sure that he gets into bed. And today was day one of the first day of school. And like I said, I got 4 hours of sleep last night. And I'm just like, I feel like I was at school all day. I wasn't. I was doing other things. But anyway, it's like getting into the routine again, which I do like routine somewhat. But once I get into it, I like it. I like the groove of it. But right now it's like, this has been a very weird summer. And so I'm just like, what is happening? and I'm an early riser typically. I mean, I usually wake up at like 5, but I had to set my alarm last night because I knew I wasn't getting to bed. And, there's nothing worse than waking up to an alarm clock. I'm sorry. It's just ungodly. It's not the way that life should be. It is unholy to wake up to an alarm. Anyway, all right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. Oh, okay. So Wednesday night, I have a new show coming and I won't be alone. And that's all I think I'm going to say about it at this point. So watch for that. I hope you guys show up for that. I believe that's going to be at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. So it's the same time as this, but I really think you're going to like it. That one's going to be a lot of fun. This is our hangout, the Buddhism stuff that I'm doing on Sundays now, or whatever. It's philosophy, but that one, nobody cares. And I didn't expect anybody to. These are more just kind of like, these are the outlets for me. And I am, like I said in the beginning, going to get back to doing the Clean Living Project or some variation of it to get back to talking about that information because I'm really passionate about it. But then this is like also kind of, these are for me. And that is kind of more for you, I guess I could say, where I think you're going to have more fun with that because I think that these are important, but I also think, a community in general is important. So I like to have several places that we can all hang out together in different vibes and things like that, get to know each other better in different ways, because that's what everyone needs right now is community. So did I make an outro? Oh yeah, I have my outro from last time that I didn't get to play because I had to cancel last time. My son had he had a toothache and he was in a lot of pain. So that's why I couldn't do my show last week. Anyway, guys. All right. Is that all? Oh, let me do the scratch in. Hold on 1 second. I shall release it. Hold on if I get sound for a sec. There we go. All right, released. That has been released. And CBD and more to get your CBD, guys. Promo code, the link is in the description here, but promo code Kate15 for 15% off. I love you guys. Thank you for being here with me. And I will see you hopefully Wednesday. Show up. Watch for my posts on it and meet us there. Okay, bye. Break me.